Hi, I'm Bob Lario. I'm the broker owner and managing broker of Remax Mountain West Real Estate with offices in Paonia and Cedar Ridge and Carbondale. And I've been practicing real estate in the North Fork Valley for 44 years now. So I thought I'd give you a little information about what's going on with the real estate market during this coronavirus COVID-19 crisis that we're experiencing right now. So first of all, the governor's stay-at-home order in Colorado allowed real estate brokers to continue practicing real estate because we are deemed to be an essential service. So real estate activity is still going on. And by way of giving some information, I wanted to just kind of put things in perspective because there's a lot of wild rumors going on out there. So the real estate industry is remaining surprisingly active. Showings of properties are going on, are continuing to happen. Showings, of course, of vacant land is not a problem. You just meet the client at the maintain your social distance and walk the property and show it that way. So there's no issue showing vacant land. Houses, however, are a different story. Houses do present some problems. So first of all, what we've done, at least at Remax Mountain West, is we have offered all of our sellers the opportunity to withdraw their homes from the market if they so choose. We're recognizing that some sellers might not want to have people walk through their homes. Surprisingly enough, at this point, not one seller has chosen to take their home off the market. And I haven't seen that happening through the MLS. I don't think there's many sellers that are choosing to withdraw. So the homes are still being shown. The protocol, however, has been changed on how to show a home. So first of all, what we're telling our brokers in our office is make sure that the showing is essential. Don't be showing to buyers that are not ready to buy. So the buyer interview and buyer qualification process has been stepped up a little bit. Instead of showing, sometimes brokers show homes to buyers that are maybe 6 months out from buying. We're not doing that anymore. We're qualifying the buyer very carefully, that they're serious, they're ready to buy, they're qualified to buy, they've already been hopefully pre-approved by a lender. We're also asking questions about health status. You know, are they sick? Are they okay? Have they been exposed? Have they been in contact with anybody that's got a positive test? Things like that. We have to be careful that when we ask those questions, we have to ask those questions consistently to everybody. So it doesn't look like a discrimination. You can't say, oh, you're from Pitkin County, I'm going to ask you these questions, but you're from Mesa County, so I'm not. We have to be consistent with that. So a stepped up qualification. Not driving in the same car, obviously, we meet the clients at the property. We are limiting our company's protocol, no more than 2 buyers to go into a house. We have disposable gloves at our office that we can take out for ourselves and the buyers. We are asking our sellers to have disinfectant at a prominent place when you walk in the door, removing shoes or putting booties on, asking the buyer not to touch anything. The only one that touches doorknobs, light switches is the broker with the disposable gloves. So those are some of the showing protocol that we're practicing in showing the home. Showings are going on. Mortgage companies are staying open. They're active, especially with the low interest rates. They're doing a lot of refis in addition to new loans. Title companies are open. Appraisers are still doing business. Inspectors are still doing business. The industry is maintaining and continuing. Most of the physical offices for the mortgage companies, the real estate companies, the title companies, the doors are locked, and the public is not allowed to come into the office. At our company, we have a sign on the door that invites the client or customer to call a broker. We have all the numbers posted. We have staff maintaining our offices. If it's real urgent, we can open the door. By appointment, we can open the door, and then maintain the distances and practice safe protocols. So that's the way that's working. A lot of the realtors are working from home. I know I am. Have a good scanner, and my cell phone works pretty reasonably well at home. And with the computer, we can do a lot from home. And I think that's how most realtors are working now. Some of the new innovations happening during this time. Brokers are showing homes with virtual tours. We have a thing called a Matterport tour that's almost like putting on one of those virtual headsets. And you can look up, you can look down, you can click and go to a certain part of the home. So that's another way to show a home. We have brokers that we have videos, of course, and we have the opportunity. You can walk through a home and on FaceTime, hold your phone up and walk through and talk to the buyer while you're walking through and describing what you're showing them. So, those things are being used. The title companies, of course, could always do mail out closings. That's still a possibility. Now some of them are innovating with curbside closings, where the buyer or seller goes to the closing and the realtor, nobody gets out of their car, brings the documents for signing right outside from your car. Remote notary is something that's, I'm not real sure if it's a done deal yet, but it will be in Colorado. So notarizations can happen. Notary doesn't have to be face to face or right in the presence of the person signing the document. So things have changed like that. For the realtors, I know we've been doing a lot of Zoom conferences. I'm sure you've heard that Zoom is becoming really big now. So a lot of Zoom. In fact, that's how I'm doing this with David Jacobson right now, is on Zoom. I'm sitting in my home office, and he's down in his office. So we had an office meeting in our company last week, and by Zoom, and it was the best attended office meeting we've ever had, I think. So it's a lot easier for the brokers to show up, so to speak. So a lot, and I think at this time and during this crisis, face-to-face meetings are important, since we're all kind of isolated and not seeing each other as much. So it's nice to have that opportunity. In Colorado, also the Colorado Bar Association has created an addendum that can be attached to contracts. It's called the COVID-19 addendum, and it builds in flexibility on dates, on performance dates on our contracts. And so a lot of realtors are using these on contracts now, and they can be added to existing contracts. And it's an addendum that allows some flexibility on dates based on the buyer or seller not being able to obtain a service like an appraiser or an inspector or something along those lines, where somebody is not doing their business, and so the buyer and seller is stymied in being able to perform on the deadlines. There's kind of a built-in flexibility. Likewise, that addendum also gives the buyer and seller flexibility in case of a stay, in case of a stay-at-home order, or either the buyer or seller actually is quarantined or sick, and they just give verbal or written notice to the other party, and it kicks in an extension period. So this is something new that you may be seeing on contracts. So that's what's going on. Real estate activity is continuing. Now, what do we expect to happen during this crisis? Well, first of all, it's important that we get we make sure people understand this too shall pass, as the saying goes. This crisis will have an ending. We're not sure when, but we're pretty sure that it will end. During the crisis, we expect there to be a slowdown in activity. Economic uncertainty, loss of jobs, uncertainty about the stock market, travel restrictions, those factors should cause a slowdown in activity during the crisis. We expect that to happen. Like I said, right now, I'm not so sure we're seeing that slowdown, maybe to some extent. You always have to look back to see that. But that's kind of what we expect. Some buyers will terminate contracts because of those same factors. And some buyers will retreat to the sidelines, as the saying goes, or decide to sit it out. In other words, they might be interested in buying, but they're going to wait this out and see what happens. Those are things that are to be expected. We do not expect values to decrease, as opposed to, we've seen, I think, upwards to a 30% decrease in the stock market. Real estate values are not decreasing, and we don't expect them to decrease. Subject to coming out of this into a long-term recession, which I don't think will happen, we really think real estate values are going to maintain. They may not increase during this crisis, but we don't think they'll drop. Like we said, activity will continue. The factors, the mitigating factors on the positive side for real estate, people will recognize perhaps more that real estate is a pretty solid investment for the reasons that I just stated about holding values. People will recognize, and I'm seeing this and I'm hearing this, that Delta County is a quote unquote safe area as opposed to a hot area because of our low density. I've had conversations with buyers that have bought in the past year who are just and have moved here from the metro area, the Front Range, and are just tickled to death that they made the decision, and they're the envy of their friends back there that they did make that decision. So that's something that's happening right now. We're being perceived in that way. Some buyers are going to recognize that during this crisis, there's less buyer competition. Sometimes during times of crisis there's opportunities, let's put it that way. I talked to one person recently. I said, how are you spending your days? And they said, I'm buying stock. Well, there's an opportunity perhaps in the stock market right now because of the decrease. I think people will see opportunities in real estate because of less competition. I had one buyer call me the other day from Grand Junction and said, Bob, I want to buy a home in Paonia. Now's the time to buy. Find me a good buy in Paonia. So buyers are recognizing that there's opportunities during a crisis like this. And then also the importance of the home as a safe place and as a sanctuary is certainly that message is being driven during this crisis, and people are recognizing how important their homes are, how important home ownership is. Fully expect when we come out of this crisis that there's going to be a surge of activity. There's going to be some pent-up demand. These people, the buyers that are definitely interested in buying here and have decided to wait, there's going to be that surge of real estate activity. We expect, we're telling our brokers, be ready to do 6 months of business in 3 months when this all ends, and be ready for it. When we went into this crisis, there was a housing shortage. There's a housing shortage in Delta County. There's a housing shortage nationwide. When we come out of this crisis, there's still going to be a housing shortage, and there's going to be very low interest rates. So we do expect that when this crisis ends, there will be a surge of activity. So that's the summary of what's going on in real estate right now. During the time of this crisis, we in the real estate industry welcome your calls. We feel like we can be a voice of calm. and a voice of information. And feel free to call your realtor of choice and find out what's going on. And we're here to help, and we're here to continue to provide service. But I think the real estate industry is going to be fine.